Oh, for sure. And just, I think that the climate that we are in at this time is just very toxic in general. Relationships, not all, of course, but like the example that you used of the guy calling his friend to say he's raped. I can hear the girl right now. Like, have you heard that Kevin Hart, like, put the pigeon on the phone? Like, nobody is believing that. You talk about that was the most, in her mind, the most extreme lie that you could have come up with, even though not a lie, very serious thing happened to him. But
Mental Health Monday.
Because sometimes being there for someone can quite literally be doing the thing that doesn't feel good, right? For example, hospitalizing a loved one or calling the police on a loved one when you're feeling unsafe and feeling like somebody needs protection of some sort from their self or from someone else. Being there for you is a very tricky concept, because being there for someone doesn't always mean that they're a yes person or that they're necessarily saying that what you did or what you think is right.
I fully agree. And I've, for the last 2 years, been advocating that people do need to sit down and have the conversations of what does being there for me look like, especially when it comes to folks who have suffered from a manic episode or had moments like that. I tell folks, hey, you need to have a certain language that people know how to talk to you when things happen. They need to know what your triggers are and what to avoid when they're talking to you about something.
Right.
They need to understand when you lose it, you're going to lose it. You're not going to keep track, right? But sometimes there are words that brings you back that says, oh, I might be losing it right now.
Yeah, this is like what we do in safety planning.
Okay, tell me about safety planning.
Yeah, so safety planning is something that I recommend anybody who has suicidal ideation do when you're feeling well, right? Not when you're in the crisis, but when you're out of it. And you ask them, what are the things that would be helpful when you feel that way? What are the things that we can pinpoint or identify for, maybe this is not going well, or you're not doing well, or you're nearing a crisis state situation. So everything that you're saying is absolutely true. You know, you have to know what actually feels supportive to you, and you have to know what is helpful for you. And that's a lot of work that's done in therapy, is actually learning yourself and figuring yourself out. Because a lot of the things that happen to us that we perceive as negative may not even necessarily be negative, but they just might not feel like what you need in that moment.
Tell me where this comes from. I feel like you have, like, did you learn that in school, or after you graduated you said, oh, we need to start doing these things?
So safety planning is kind of like protocol, you know, even from the case management level.
I love that role in it. You say it's kinda, but just saying.
Right, but I definitely believe that it's helpful and needed. Like a lot, and most of what I've learned, I will be honest with you, I've learned post-grad, like just from actually doing the work, being on the front lines, seeing what people are going through and what they're bringing to me as problems. And I'm like, so you people said that last week, you know, or something similar. So this is a general theme. That's how my groups came about.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not about to keep talking to all y'all about the same stuff. We gonna come together.
Sometimes wonder how much of these things that happen, because I do recognize the same thing, are influenced by social media, or is it influenced by what's going on and what, like, the community is observing as a problem right now?
Yeah, no, for sure. And just, I think that the climate that we are in at this time is just very toxic in general. Relationships, not all, of course, but like the example that you used of the guy calling his friend to say he's raped. I can hear the girl right now. Like, have you heard that Kevin Hart, like, put the pigeon on the phone? Like, nobody is believing that. You talk about that was the most, in her mind, the most extreme lie that you could have come up with, even though not a lie, very serious thing happened to him. But who's believing that, you know? Because we don't believe things like that in this day and age, in this culture. She said it herself, men don't get raped.
And now I feel like we're doing a lot of catching up. And in our catching up, we're making mistakes of, we have less forgiveness because we're all on the same page. And every day I see examples of us all not being on the same page at all. Like, we think we're reading the same book, but someone's on page 2 and someone's on page 98. And those pages are digested and implemented differently also.
Exactly.
So, like, when it comes to the work that you do, when I see that you're doing group therapy, I think that's inspirational in a sense, because like managing a group and having words with a whole group and keeping track of who has what going on is not easy.
Right. Very
Especially
true.
when that group is learning to trust each other, which I think that's a very major component. So
Yes,
how do you
probably the most
facilitate?
important part to me.
Okay.
And I make that very clear. We have a little spiel in the beginning, like we're here to trust each other and to share openly and not be super judgmental of each other. And hopefully the goal is if they can do that in that environment, they can take what they've done there into the community.